It's day 2 of the Intra-African Trade Fair in Durban. SABC News Economics reporter Liabo Setho is there. Good afternoon, Liabo. Yesterday afternoon, you were talking to some small entrepreneurs, small businesses. What's happening today?
Good afternoon, Nastasia. Well, day 2. And as you know, with big conferences such as this one, there's never just one topic, although there may be an overarching topic for, in this case, the intra-Africa trade and how we can achieve that in Africa. There's also side events such as transport and cross-border transport, as well as the automotive sector. But for this purpose of this interview, I'd like to just focus on the cross-border transport because we know the importance thereof of the easy movement of passengers as well as goods. I'm sure our viewers are also aware of sometimes, the backlog that is found in between borders, and that is one of the things that has been touted as the impediments to intra-trade. But I've brought the acting CEO of the Cross-Border Transport Agency, Mr. Liabo, to join me just to flesh out some issues and what they are hoping to see from this Intra-Africa Trade Fair that will make their life easier. Mr. Mboyi, thank you so much for joining us on Point. The issue of cross-border trade or cross-border movement of goods between passengers and goods is quite a big one when you think of the issue of trade. But have we made any impact or have we made any progress in terms of how we make it easy for those trucks to move from South Africa to Malawi, to Zimbabwe, and so forth? We have been experiencing problems for a very long time.
Thanks, Liabo. So we have made some good progress in some areas, and in some areas we still need to make some progress. There has been a very good initiative by the SADC countries, especially the Community of Regulators in the SADC region, to look at how we can harmonize the environment within SADC, standardize policies, standardize procedures, and standardize some of the processes of crossing the borders with trade. It has been one of the biggest non-tariff barriers, and it is causing a lot of delays, and it is causing a lot of losses in terms of businesses across the various borders. So we are making that good progress, but there's still a lot of more work to be done. The infrastructure in the different borders is also a problem. Some of our borders were not designed to facilitate trade, and it's a big and a very massive problem facing all of us. So we've got to look at how and negotiate with our governments to look at how the infrastructure in the borders can be improved to allow for better movement of freight across the borders and passengers. So there is a significant progress being made, but there's still a lot more. There are conversations we're having with some of the stakeholders. For instance, one of our key stakeholders is SARS, that we're talking to see how we align our systems to make sure that we prioritize those customers that are complying well and they are not delayed at the border. So it is one of those, again, initiatives that we're looking at, and it is being launched again as a pilot, I think at the beginning of next year in January in the Lebomba border post. SARS has got a program called AEO, we've got a program called OCAS. We're bringing the two programs together to make sure that we add value to the business community.
Yeah. Give us a scenario of, so with this implementation of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, if the borders were functioning well, how much do you think we would be seeing the speed as well as the monetary value of trade if things were working well?
I think if things were working well, we would see a better movement of goods across the borders. I think you would know by now that there are significant delays in various borders that we do experience. I think some of them relating to the systems that I've just spoken about, some of them relating to some of the challenges that are existing in those borders in terms, for instance, if you look at Bait Bridge, some of the clearing agents, they close at certain times of the day around 10 p.m. and they open at 6, so you don't have a free movement of goods across those borders. And in some of, for instance, again in Bait Bridge, there was a massive construction project taking place at the moment, which has caused some of the recent blockages that we have seen across that border. And these are some of the challenges that we're dealing with. But we think that if we're able to open up space, it would allow for a freer movement of goods and people across these borders. And I think it would reduce the amount of delays and therefore less risk to business people and less costs to business people. For instance, some of these people transport perishable products, and the delays at the borders create massive problems for them because by the time they get to their various destinations, some of those goods are no longer as fresh as you would want them to be, and therefore the customers have problems with the product that is delivered to them. So we're trying to resolve all these different challenges. We're working with different stakeholders. We are transport, of course. We understand our role in the context of ensuring that there must be freer movement of goods and services across these borders, and we think that it's important as a government and as a country to ensure that we assist all the initiatives. So the conference here is about looking at some of those challenges as well.
Mr. Mboyi, have you identified any innovations within the transport space that could help to speed up what you're trying to do as an agency?
Yes, so we are launching what is called a vehicle reservation system next year in partnership with SARS again, where we're trying to declog the borders to make sure that trucks do not necessarily go directly to the borders, but they are housed in certain truck parks, and we call them to the borders at the right time. And we think that's a good initiative that will pull trucks to the borders without delays. So that's one of the initiatives that we have just, I think, found each other with SARS on. It's our own initiatives as the CBRTA. So that's the first one. But secondly, we have also looked at some of the systems that we can use in harmonizing the environment that we're working on. For instance, what is called the ICBMS. It's a new system that we are launching soon, which is going to harmonize some of our systems in the region. It's an initiative, again, of the CBRTA. We're trying to make sure that we work with different countries, and there's been a successful uptake from the different countries in the region. Yeah.
Mr. Mboyi, thank you so much. It sounds like there's a lot of progress being made on your front that will facilitate the easy movement of passengers as well as goods in the African continent. Tesh, that was Mr. Liabo Setho. He's the acting CEO of the Cross-Border Transport Agency, and he was just sharing with us some of the challenges that the transport sector faces, particularly the moving of goods between borders, and he does also share with us about the innovations that they've partnered up with SARS in order to make systems and processes easier. But of course, those will be taking place or be in operation sometime next year, and we will be following up to see how that is going. And that is all for us for this hour. Next hour, I will be back again with another guest to see with another topic.
Thank you so much, Liabo Setho, coming to us from the Intra-African Trade Fair taking place in Durban.